to switch some slides. Not now. Now. Thank you, Michael, and thank you to Indeed for hosting us tonight. I believe that not only is it okay to ignore your users, but that sometimes we actually want to do it a little bit more than we might think. Now, I want to be very clear about what I'm saying and what I'm not saying. I believe we should always listen to our users in an empathetic, neutral, intentional manner. But what we do with that feedback after we gather it is a completely different thing. And that's where I think it's okay to ignore. I also believe that making decisions based upon our user feedback is probably one of the most critical skills of a product manager, and that's what we're going to dive into tonight. Now, Shakespeare said to be or not to be, that is the question. I think to follow or not to follow, that is the question asked by product managers everywhere. My purpose tonight is simply perpetual learning. I'm going to share a lot of my biggest product mistakes and the lessons that I've learned from them so that you might learn from them, make smarter mistakes, share your learnings, and that we, as a product manager community, might somehow reach our penultimate, which is to anticipate and fulfill the needs and wants of all users. So that's the purpose here tonight. And you need to know that I am human and I am horribly biased based upon my own personal experiences, which are different from everybody else's here. So anything that you take tonight, know that you need to discount it so that in the future, to determine if, when, or how you might ever apply it to your situation. So please come up with your appropriate discount. And my discount is really based upon the past products that I've worked on. So one was a biocompatible RFID ink tattoo for cattle, a stereo camera to actually count cattle, which you'd be surprised is very difficult to do, a machine that put a tattoo on the tail of a mouse in an automated manner, a marketplace that connected tutors with students, and actually we found out our customer wasn't students but their parents. Fly Benjamin, which was a shopping site with automated price triggers for buying flights. Alpha Race, which capitalized on the solo mo movement back in 2011. Spend Analytics, which was a marketing intelligence tool for merchants based upon transaction data. TrueLift, which was attempting, but we did not, solve the problem of online-offline attribution. Honest Policy, a comparison shopping engine, which was all about helping users find and shop for insurance based upon value, which is a function of price and quality, whereas most of the time we just do it based upon price. And then currently at Experian in a B2B to C white label format on credit education, identity theft protection, and then also the Monday Karma blog. Our agenda for tonight, I'm going to share one monster story, the framework that I learned from that I use today, a second story, the framework from that, my favorite, a top 10 list of things that I've learned of conducting user interviews over the past 15 years, and then Q&A. I actually don't think we need to keep Q&A till the end. If people want to ask questions throughout, let's do it. It'll be more fun, and we'll go from there. Sound fair? All right. Story number one. So I was at Capital One Labs, and we were asked to figure out how to create more and more meaningful relationships with national merchants, national retailers, explore new business models, and we had a hunch that we could use transaction data to do this. So we interviewed about 30 different retailers, and this was everybody from Whole Foods here, to Men's Warehouse, to Patagonia, to Buffalo Wild Wings, to Neiman, to Nordstrom, to Saks. I mean, mostly Fortune 500 retailers. We essentially talked to people that were in marketing and then one degree away. So FP&A, or financial planning and analysis, and then store operations. And for us, this was discovery research, right? There were no hypotheses. It was just, what are the problems, needs, and wants? And we realized that there was really one big problem, was that merchants understood what their customers did inside of their store. They didn't understand what they did outside of their store. And that was extremely important and valuable for them to know. So we set off to figure out how to solve that problem. And we actually came up with 2 products. Now, they were part of a larger product called Spend Analytics, but essentially there were actually 2 distinct that could be standalone products. One was called Customer Insights, the other was Competitor Insights. And in Customer Insights, it was all customer focused. And so the use cases, one of them was Find My Best Friend. So this is what's called a co-marketing relationship. If you're JetBlue and you want to find a co-marketing program with a restaurant, Do you want to be with Panera or Buffalo Wild Wings? Another one was we called Speak My Language. So a lot of brands do what's called regional or hyper-local marketing, where they actually want the copy of their advertising to speak to the local community. You imagine the copy you use in LA is different than the copy you use in Peoria, Illinois versus New York, right? So our data could help them with that. And the last one was called Where's Waldo? So in Where's Waldo, the situation is you have an almost lapsed customer segment and you want to prevent them from going from almost lapsed to lapsed. So where are they? Where do you reach them with a message so that you can prevent them from lapsing? The other product was called Competitor Insights, so very competitor focused. And one of the use cases here was called Leaky Bucket. So Leaky Bucket was, am I losing customers, which ones, and to whom? Cheating on me, which was, imagine that you're a retailer and you have, say, shoes, and you know you're not getting all of the spend of your customers in shoes. You know they're going to some of your competitors, but how much? How much are they cheating on you? And what can you do in terms of your loyalty programs to fix that? And then lastly, the biggest bang for the buck, which was help me understand what is my share of wallet and where do I have the largest share of wallet opportunity so that when I'm looking at allocating my marketing spend, I don't just blindly go a third, a third, a third, but I actually say 50%, 40%, 10% by where I have the largest share of wallet opportunity. So these are the two products we knew that we wanted to build. The problem for us was, which do we build first? We couldn't build them both. And we knew that if we didn't get it right and we didn't choose the correct one first, we may not have a chance to build the second one. So that was the dilemma that we faced. And we ultimately chose wrong. And I'll show you the framework that I came up with that I think would have been helpful and prevented us from making the wrong decision. So we chose to build Competitor Insights first. And we did that for a couple reasons. One, it was sexy. There were other products that were out there. There was a lot of excitement from users. But what we didn't realize was that the users' expectations was actually extremely high because there were so many other products that were already out there. So we said, yes, we're going to build them, but we're going to build them both, but which one do we do first? And it should have been Customer Insights. And why was because there was more green on this framework. And I'll tell you the and in a minute. So here in terms of the trade-off map. So it's trade-off heat map is what I call it. On the y-axis, this is basically your users' expectations of a new solution compared to current and past solutions. And on the x-axis, it's how much better your new solution is relative to current solutions. So when you map this, and you basically, works pretty well for trade-off decisions. You want to be out of the orange or the red and in the green. So if one of your options is in the red, you probably want to ignore it. If you're in the yellow, orangish area, you probably want to take some caution. And here you can see that you can get here multiple ways. There can be low expectations, and you're only a little bit better. There can be medium expectations, and you're moderately better. Or there can be really high expectations, and you're still a lot better. But it's kind of like a 1-to-1. There's no leverage here. There's no 5-to-1 opportunity. And where you really want is to be in all green, where there's low expectations and you're moderately better or significantly better, right? And so for us, we ended up building Competitor Insights first, but we didn't realize that expectations were actually significantly higher. And what that meant was, once we launched, that users there was a much higher bar for us to pass in order for them to use it and for us to really exceed their expectations. Whereas if we would have gone something that was lower with Customer Insights, they had almost nothing to compare to, or what they did have to compare to, it was so trivial that we were significantly better than them. And the one thing that, where I said the and part, about not only do you want to be in more green, but there's something that we didn't realize is that users that have high expectations, it's almost like they're a no-but user. They're insatiable. You cannot please them, and it's almost as if they're looking for reasons why it's not going to work for them. Whereas if it's somebody with low expectations, it's a little bit more of a yes and person. They're almost cheering you on and a little bit more forgiving. And if you think about this, you might score yourself as like 5x better than everybody else. But a user who has low expectations might actually score you like a 7 or an 8x better. So you actually get this little drift, or almost like a curve, when you're dealing with low expectations. So let's look at an example that everybody knows.